Hello everyone, welcome to the THR show. My name is Osasu Paul Azino. The THR show focuses on social sector managers and entrepreneurs who by sheer determination and passion work through their projects. On this show we will focus on the challenges and the impacts of this project. Please subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up. If you have questions, comments, suggestions, or people you would like us to interview, please drop a comment below. Hello everyone, welcome to the THR show. My name is Osasu Paul Azino. Effective philanthropy requires a lot of time and creativity, the same kind of focus and skills that building a business requires. This was said by Bill Gates, the founder of one of the biggest tech companies across the world, Microsoft. Today I have with me a guest who, his organization is doing amazing work in the tech space, and he's no other than Mr. Sola Amusan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
It's a great honor and delight to have you finally here on the show. So let's go straight to it. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization, the organization I represent. Tell us a bit about it.
Right, so my name is Sola Amusan. I'm philanthropy's lead at Microsoft Nigeria. Microsoft, as you know, is a global solutions, platforms, and productivity company, leading software and cloud giant around the world. Familiar products are Windows, Office 365, and the best cloud, Azure, right?
Yeah.
So I work as the philanthropist lead for Microsoft in Nigeria, and here I steer the local and global strategy for ensuring that Nigerians become digitally transformed, and we bring our global mission to life. And what is that mission? To empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So I work across verticals such as nonprofits, governments, and youth, and private sector organizations, community engagement, and everything that has to do with our corporate social responsibility, or what you refer to as our corporate social investments in Nigeria. So that's what I look after, and it's that's the most fulfilling job.
Yeah, that's such a robust, CSR plan, because so you're not focusing on communities alone. You're focusing on everyone that basically has to do with social responsibility. So you're doing corporate organizations, you're doing non-profits, you're doing communities. That's a great and big task. How do you steer that boat? Because I'm wondering, is this just a job for you? Is this a passion? Is this something you've always been interested in? Because I have an idea that you've been volunteering for a pretty young age. So do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. To start with, so how do you feed all of those things into something? All of that fits into every person and every organization on the planet. So when we say we want to empower every person and every organization, that includes nonprofits, private sector companies, the government, the youth of that country, the women, the children, and all of that. So I'm riding on the back of a over 4-decade-long strategy. I mean, the company is over 40 years old, that is committed. A young man left the security of Harvard, to go create a company that will eventually change the world. And the company has taken so much from the energy of that founder and the several leaders that the organization has had over the time to be able to build something so strong that is touching every single person around the world. And what our responsibility is to take this kind of work that's been laid into our hands and extend it to every person in Nigeria, ensure that everybody in Nigeria feels the impact of this work. So yes, it is much more than a work for me. It's much more than a 9-to-5 job for me. It is a passion. I started volunteering first at the age of 9. Wow. I joined an organization called the Society for Women and Youth in Africa. It was a small club in my secondary school, and we were basically advocating against discrimination and giving orientation about HIV and AIDS, and that inspired me when I went on to grew more in secondary school to be part of another organization called Life Vanguards. I learned about self-esteem, decision-making, and at the age of 11 and 12, I was volunteering volunteering for a Ford Foundation exchange program, that was bringing young people from Europe to Africa. And this was nowhere near Lagos. This was in Oshogbo, Osun State. So
it wasn't like you're in the central space and you were getting all the opportunities.
No, it was just a non-profit, a few meters from my school, from my secondary school. Would go there on Fridays and basically learn and volunteer and dance and sing and run drama pieces for the foreigners, so the young people who were coming in for the exchange program to learn about Nigeria's culture. Yeah, so all of that inspired me to learn about the insecurity of the African child at a very young age. I wrote an article when I was 14 as part of a competition called The Insecurity in Africa, The Way Forward. These things inspired me to start my own organization called Youth Be Secured Foundation at the age of 15, and on and on and on like that until I graduated from university, ran radio programs, a lot of empowerment programs for young people. And then I found this amazing opportunity at Microsoft to be able to extend this work beyond what I can ever imagine.
So it's more like,
it's awesome.
Yeah, so it's more like all of your volunteering, has fed into what you have right now.
Absolutely.
So would you say that would you be an advocate for to say people, because one of the things that when I speak with non-profit people is the inability to find volunteers, because people usually think that to run a non-profit all you need is funds. Sometimes it's not just funding, you need volunteers, you need people.
Right.
So would you say that volunteering is key to running the non-profit space and having people grow into what they can be and what they should be, from something that isn't quote unquote paid for?
Yeah. So it's actually a two-way thing, amazingly, and the two sides are very beneficial. The first side is for nonprofits to realize that many times you really don't need money right now. What you need are people who are committed, who are really willing to volunteer, and you can build from there.
Yes.
The other side of it is for the young person who thinks he doesn't have a job right now to begin to see the importance of volunteering to be able to gather the necessary experience.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. When I was in year one in the university, I joined a small company that was started by a friend of mine. Senior friend was just a year ahead of me.
Yeah.
He started a small company with only a printer and a phone, but it was registered. They had a corporate account, and I joined them as a project assistant. You can call that volunteering. At the end of 5 years, I had 5 years experience as a project assistant, and I was out of the university and ready to work anywhere. So this is what we tell people. So it's actually two-sided.
So you are the kind of guy who makes the Nigerian companies look for a 19-year-old who has 10 years experience.
Or perhaps I'm that kind of guy who just got the opportunity to realize that in 5 years' time they would ask me for 5 years experience.
So you started
I started doing something about it.
Because people, that's very interesting, because I have a joke amongst a couple of my friends, and you hear things like, we want a 25-year-old who has 10 years experience, and I'm like, by 15, the person is in secondary school. But we thinking about this, really. You can start work. Nothing says that work experience has to be after university.
Absolutely.
Nothing says that work experience.
And that's how it is all over Europe and America.
Exactly.
People from 15 start summer jobs. And so, it's a mismatch, actually, when Nigerian companies are asking for 10 years experience. But basically what they're asking for, first, there's a challenge of the fact that they don't have enough entry-level roles.
I think it's also interpretation.
And the second challenge is that they're just looking for people who have been taking responsibility all their life.
Yeah.
So they need you to show, if what you did was just lead a small group in your church or mosque, if what you did was, regardless of what it is, just make sure you've been doing something. And then you can demonstrate it on your CV or resume.
We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. So this brings me to to my next question, because we're talking about companies, we're talking about volunteering, and I'm looking at the fact that this is Microsoft set up a big organization, and it's doing well globally, and there's this pretty huge CSR. No, I shouldn't say pretty, big CSR plan, that is rolling in Nigeria in terms of technology. And I'm wondering, is this profitable to Microsoft? How does this profit Microsoft? Because there's this mismatch, there's this blur between non-profit people and companies. Non-profit people are saying, give us something, But non-profit people are thinking money is all they need, right? And so how does this work for Microsoft? Is this profitable, running this massive kind of CSR projects that you will mention much later?
Yeah, rather like a paradox to me if you say is the non-profit work profitable. Basically, at the center of our work or our operations is philanthropy. Okay. I mean, I just told you about how a young man left the security of Harvard to go on and establish something that will change the world. So last year we made a commitment to give $1 billion of cloud, and less than a year we were done spending it, and we're making another $1 billion commitment again. So it's a big company, as you know, and we feel that there is no purpose in us being able to say we want to change people's lives or the way they do business or the way they work if we indeed do not touch the communities that need this. So it's important to us, it's very, very crucial to us. There is no focus on return on investment from a profit standpoint when we do our CSR, and I say this with all sense of transparency. The only ROI we want to see is that everybody around the world who encounters Microsoft philanthropies can tell a story of how good they have, or of how transformed their lives are. Stories that come to mind include stories of young girls who attended our one of our funded programs in Ajegunle called Ajegunle.org, for example, who eventually came out from that slump to become remarkable individuals. Or the young man who in Obafemi Awolowo University started gaming and got mentored by some of our employees and has grown to become the biggest game developer in Africa. Or the several women who will be trained over the next few years in our Nigerian Women Tech Stars initiative that is training 7,200 women. Or young businesses new businesses who will be incubated through our Accelerate Labs initiative. This is what gives us joy, and that's the only ROI we're looking at: changed lives.